Hello and welcome to MLW Con-Fusion. I'm your host Rob Kammer, bringing you all that you may or may not need to know about Major League Wrestling and its television programming. Or at least, of course, I would if MLW would, do more programming or something of the like. So in its stead, we have the NWA Exodus Pro Midwest Heavyweight Champion PB Smooth coming on the show. We are going to talk about all sorts of things, including his rise to the NWA and a handful of other topics. Fun conversations, so stay tuned for that. But of course, in the meanwhile, we do have some news. The first of which is, hey, the talent partnership between MLW and another company has actually come to fruition the other way around. MLW is sending Akira Kwan to CMLL to take part in the CMLL Grand Prix. This is a Torneo Cibernetico, forgive my pronunciation of that, where he is actually going to be on Team Rest of the World, also with Flip Gordon, Robbie X, Rocky Romero, and AEW's Kyle Fletcher. So not only is he showing up in Mexico, he's got kind of a pretty big match ahead of him, and hopefully has a strong showing to really cement the partnership between MLW and CMLL. But it's really good to kind of finally see MLW sending folks out instead of just being the company that just brings in the stars and doesn't give their talent a time to shine outside of the company, while being able to carry the flag of MLW. Speaking of the Contra flag and Akira Kwan, it has been announced that Summer of the Beast on August 29th at the Melrose Ballroom, New York City, that Contra unit consisting of Akira Kwan and Minoru Suzuki will be challenging for the Tag Team Championship against Cozy Max. Cozy Max's first defense in quite some time, and this is the first official match of the pairing of Kwan and Minoru Suzuki. Curious to see how we go off this, and I know they're feuding, but I'm not quite sure what Kwan and Suzuki's done to win earn a championship opportunity. But whatever. I guess I can just gonna sit here and still wait for mine. I'm pretty sure Bad Dude Tito would beat me up, so I don't see what they're waiting on. This match also announced with the quarterfinals of the Opera Cup with Kenta versus Akira, and the debut of Stardom's Hanako so far. But no, that's not all. At Summer of the Beast, it also been announced that TJP will be returning to Major League Wrestling, initially as an alternate for the Opera Cup tournament should someone get injured, or if he is not needed as a member of the Opera Cup tournament, he also has an open contract to compete that night as well. However, the announcement of Opera Cup alternate, is kind of suspect, kind of looms a shadow over the tournament. And if you go over to the Urban Wrestling Network YouTube channel, you'll be able to eventually see, depending on when everything gets released, eventually see my thoughts on how this could go down and kind of what it means for MLW in terms of a storyline prospect, and get a bigger opportunity to play armchair booker, which I'm not quite willing to do right here, right now, because as I said, that's news. But today is all about PB Smooth. So we're going to take a pause for the cause, get ourselves an energy drink, etc., etc., etc. And when we come back, we will talk with PB Smooth. If you're like me, sometimes you need a pick-me-up to get you through the day. I drink Ryse Energy for that pickup. Ryse comes in a bunch of different flavors, and more recently Italian Ice, which is great, by the way. And it contains no sugar, so there's no crash after you drink it. And really, best of all, if you go through me and go to wetrepsports.com, use my code CASS, you get 15% off your order. So also, be like Cass, drink Ryse Energy. If you're like me, sometimes you need a pick-me-up to get you through the day. I drink Ryse Energy for that pickup. Ryse comes in a bunch of different flavors, and more recently Italian Ice, which is great, by the way. And it contains no sugar, so there's no crash after you drink it. And really, best of all, if you go through me and go to wetrepsports.com, use my code CASS, you get 15% off your order. So also, be like Cass, drink Ryse Energy. All right, we are back, everyone. As I said at the top of the show, we got a very special guest today. He is the NWA Exodus Pro Midwest Heavyweight Championship. He is the urban playboy, pretty boy Smooth. Smooth, how are you doing today?
What's going on? Feeling great. How are you?
I am doing well. Can't complain. But it's great having you on the show. One of your partners, Jay Bougie, put in a word for you, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get Smooth on the show.
That's my
So
guy. I was just talking to him earlier today. We got a, match coming up this Saturday, actually, at ETU versus Fresh Air. They're a top tier Canadian tag team, but we're gonna have to put them down.
oh well, yeah, you could respect someone, but at the end of the day, it's about wins and titles. So
Absolutely.
I can't complain about that. But so since we're kind of on the topic of the Killionaires, like how did you guys get together?
So I was supposed to wrestle for ETU. Like I was in the plans for a while, but Struggles didn't know exactly when he was gonna be able to bring me in. And I know Ken had some things going on in Bougie, like they were talking about doing stuff together anyway. And it just came together, I guess. Like we're all three originally from New York. Bougie still lives there. Ken moved to St. Louis, and I lived in Erie, Pennsylvania. But we just had like natural chemistry. You know what I mean? So like from the moment we came out at ETU, just to try something new and see how it worked. Like the crowd took to it immediately. We got a little bit of buzz on social media. And Bougie's a dog. I really enjoy working with someone that has the same work ethic as me and can push me out my comfort zone to, reach higher levels. You know what I mean? So we all bring unique skill sets to the table. We all like mesh together. So we're just trying to bring it other places. I mean, ETU is just the beginning. We've done for the culture for GCW. We have some stuff coming up in Canada soon. We've been on certain shows together at BCW. We're probably going to tag there. So we're just trying to make our rounds different places.
That's great, and like I love the aesthetic of the team. Like I'm a big fan of the big dude who will kill you just without even thinking about it, just because he's so big and strong. And then the like, how do I want to phrase it? Almost kind of like, almost like I don't. This does Bougie a disservice, but say almost like a Scrappy Doo kind of guy. He's
I knew
smaller.
that was coming.
He's loud. He is. He is willing to go. And in the case of Bougie's, I mean, he obviously can go. That's why I hated using the Scrappy Doo reference, even though I guess Scrappy was more, he got held back rather than just letting
Yeah,
him go and
Bougie
get
got
beat.
the heart of a lion, man. He's tough and he'll get in there with anyone. He's wrestled Homicide and all those guys. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he'll definitely bring the fight to you. He just has Big Brother with him too.
Well, and it's working out for you guys, so I can't, no one can complain too much about it. It's working.
Absolutely.
I've already talked to Jay Bougie, so let's cover different territory on here, because you are killing it on your own. You are the inaugural and Exodus Pro Midwest Heavyweight Champion, first one, I believe, inaugural champion, correct?
Yep. NWA Exodus Midwest Champion is the official title for it. It's a title officially sanctioned by the NWA. I've actually defended it on an upcoming TV taping. I can't give too much about that, but you can catch NWA Power on the CW app every Tuesday for free.
And you're defending the title everywhere else as well. I know we had talked before I hit the record button, but you just defended it over at Ryse Wrestling over there in, are
In
they in Philly or the
Uniontown, Pennsylvania.
right?
So my whole thing was because it's a sanctioned title, it needs. I feel like it should have the same prestige as like a Ring of Honor championship that Billy Starks is defending, or like any other like world title from like a major company. You know what I mean? So the cool thing about Exodus Pro is that they're looking to collab and do co-branded events with other indie promotions. So for example, we'll be crowning our first women's champion August 24th at Exodus Pro, but the tournament for that women's title has been co-branded with Mission Pro. So some of the Exodus women have gone down to Texas to wrestle there against their talent, and their talent is coming up to Cleveland to wrestle at Exodus. So we're looking to do more stuff like that, and I look at it as an opportunity for me to give certain independent promotions an extra boost. NWA boost, signal boost is everything I post when I'm defending the title. They have an opportunity to look at the person I'm wrestling or other people in the card or see if there's opportunities for growth or to collab or to even just scout other talent. So we're looking at it from a wider perspective than people may realize because I'm a firm believer that we can get more done together than, all competing against each other. So we're just trying to build it up a different way and bring back the tradition of NWA with the territories and things like that.
And I was about to bring that up. I know that's been Billy Corgan's latest push is to bring back like the true old territory days with NWA and been partnering with with a lot of independents even before he really put in this initiative. But now it's really coming into fruition with Exodus Pro and EC3 really hitting the rounds as well. But going with EC3, you just not terribly long ago was just in the ring with him. What was it like being battling the NWA champion?
It was awesome, man. But that's what led into me having to wrestle Carson Drake. I had EC3 beat, and then he gets involved, and then like there's a disqualification and whatnot because he wants a world title shot, and he'd rather face EC3 over me for obvious reasons. But it was a great experience. I love being in there with veterans that are seasoned that have wrestled for all these major companies and accomplished so many different things because it helps me learn and grow. Like I know I'm really good in the ring, but I can always get better. I can always learn and develop. And to me, EC3 is a very underappreciated champion because when you look at his title run right now, he's defended that NWA World's Championship over 30 different times. He's gone to France, Japan, Italy, Australia. You know what I mean? So it's like he's really brought back the prestige of NWA and bringing in this new era. And there's so many undiscovered talents out there that are looking for opportunities that may not get that opportunity at like WWE or AEW for whatever reason. So this is another alternative to get on the mainstream wrestling promotion and show what you can do.
Oh, exactly. And I agree that EC3 has been, especially with this current run, very underrated. Just because he seems to be he's kind of the first NWA champion in a couple of reigns to really get out there and pound the pavement and bring back again using the old territory system, going out to Ryse Wrestling. When I know he was closer to my neck of the woods not terribly long ago with Midwest Championship Wrestling. I know he's been doing some work with American Wrestling Federation in Wisconsin as well, but just bouncing all over the place, just pounding the pavement for the NWA. And of course, by proxy, I mean, again, back at you, like, that's what you're doing now too. Again, traveling around and defending the title.
Well, yeah, the thing about it is like a good leader leads by example. They're not just telling people to do stuff, right? So when you have the world champion that's getting off a flight and going right to teach a training class every Monday through Wednesday for 4 hours, it's like it sets the precedent and the standard of what people in the business need to be doing and how hard they should be working, to make things happen. Like I'm a firm believer that the title doesn't make the man makes the title. So like as the inaugural champion, I want this to solidify part of my legacy and, help build the legacy with the territories and NWA and just, put a stamp on it that makes people realize like where you hold this, it means something, So he's been great at leading and showing me how to do that. And I've been great at listening and watching and learning on the fly and keeping it going.
Right. And being this inaugural champion for what is looking to be probably the first in several NWA affiliated territories. What does that mean for you personally?
It's honestly a dream come true. And the reason I say that is because a lot of my wrestling career, I felt like I didn't have a place. And a lot of promoters didn't know how to use me or what to do with me because there's not a lot of guys on the indies that are my size. And when it comes to creative booking and things like that, they look for a specific type of big man. Like you have to be the stone face, just do a choke slam, just mean, you know what I mean? Like to fit like a stereotypical mold. And that's not who I am. I'm a multifaceted person. Like I do have a monstrous side of me when that bell rings because it's necessary, but I'm also a playboy. I'm also a cool dude in real life. I also have charisma. I also can be in front of a microphone and talk. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different facets to me that I think make me a star. And I don't feel a lot of independent promotions that I got opportunities with saw that. So when I came over to NWA Exodus, I was given the freedom to just be me and see where it goes. Like there's literally a show where I just sat there and had beautiful women feeding me grapes. Like, you know what I mean? Like people forget about like the overall scope of what professional wrestling is and what we're doing. Like it's more than just being in the ring. Like you have to be entertaining, you have to draw money, you have to know how to talk. And like I don't feel a lot of places gave me that kind of opportunity. And now that I'm on a bigger playing field and I'm doing it, no one can dispute that I can do it, if that makes sense.
No, exactly. And it's like two things coming out of this, just kind of going with how underrated and how you've flown under the radar for years. I don't pride myself on doing like most extensive research, but like I've gone through some of your match listings and I look at them, and granted I haven't seen the match, I didn't watch the matches, but I like see like the match results, and I'm like, how did that person win the match, even just like within the pro wrestling context? Like you're a big dude, and you no offense intended to my wife, but like some of the earlier chunks of your career, you're losing to people like my wife's size, and I'm just trying to make storyline sense of it without seeing the match itself. And like that's just kind of insane to me. Like I know that bigger isn't always better per se, but like in the narrative sense, like you got a big guy, use him right. And then before I get off the tirade, like I also, in terms of your promos, like I'm actually very surprised at like how well you speak. Like, as you put it, like most big guys are just kind of like they're either just stone faced or they're just kind of like generic Hulk smash. And your promos are very well put together, and very well spoken.
Well, first of all, thank you for that. And I mean, I put a lot of work into this. A lot of people don't understand. And I mean, you as a content creator can attest to this. People don't understand the amount of hours and time and effort it takes to hone in on your craft, whether it's editing a film or like a show or things like that. And for me, like I've always been fortunate enough that I've always been a sponge. You know what I mean? Like all I know is work. My dad worked 4 to 5 jobs my entire life. So like I grew up, and he's from the South. So I grew up watching what hard work really looks like. So I say that to say this. When I wrestle at Exodus Pro, one of the guys backstage that is always working with guys on promos and things like that is Aaron Stevens, also formerly known as Damian Sandow. I texted him last night at 1 a.m. when I got home to send him my last promo for feedback. That's how hungry I am to be one of the best and be the most dominant big man professional wrestling from all scales. And I don't think there's a lot of people that look at it that way and want to put in the work for more than just to do some moves in the ring. So I take pride in working on that and honing it and always trying to develop that. You know what I mean? So yeah.
No, exactly though. Yeah, it is a lot of work, and you are in a envious position of being around some of those guys who have put in the work, who've been all over the world, or in the case EC3, he's held championships all over the world and in major promotions as well. Nothing to sneeze at. Aaron Stevens, for those of you who lived under a rock, is the former Damian Sandow, who's had a myriad of success, and especially in his case, like I would put over his character work as much as anything else too. Which, like, that's sadly I feels slowly kind of has been like a lost art in professional wrestling. Like people aren't focusing on necessarily some of the promo work and the character work that goes along with anything. Like it's great being a great smooth wrestler, but like there are stories to be told, and having personality and a distinct personality from everyone else is one of those things that helps set you apart.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also tough on some of these wrestlers coming up in this generation because with the growth of social media and the internet, things are always changing. So, for instance, you can be a wrestler that does this really cool move that looks dangerous or whatever the case may be, and you may not even know how to put together a 5 minute match and last in the ring. But because you did this one thing that got 30,000 views that one time, you're going to keep getting booked in these spots. You know what I'm saying? So it's not always conducive to becoming a well-rounded professional wrestler because depending on the type of person you are, that may gas your head up to thinking, oh, well, I don't need to go to this seminar. I don't need to work on this angle of my game because I do this really well and this is all they pay me to see. But then you're also putting yourself on an island because if you're looking for a TV opportunity or to raise your to the next stock, like you're not going to be able to thrive in that environment because you're only one dimensional. You know, you're not working on your well-rounded game. So I mean, I feel like that's a big downfall. I feel we get caught up too much in using social media as like a diary as opposed to our television time, and that's something that I try to hone in on. I mean, like before this started, we were talking about the cage match situation, and for me, like I feel me using my social media platform to market myself and to post my dates and things that I'm doing is like the best opportunity for people to know what's really going on with me in real time, as opposed to hoping that someone else that's just watching a million other wrestlers gets it right, you know? So it's just a matter of taking your resources and utilizing them to the best of your ability.
No, and I agree. And on the flip side of that, I feel like that is one of like the benefits of social media is that it allows you the wrestlers to take a bit more control over their character work or whatever, and it allows them to have promo time at a certain level when, if a company wasn't willing to give it, like now with a phone, you can make your own promo and pop it on Twitter or pop it on Facebook, pop it on Instagram, and put over who you are and your next match or whatever it is the topic that you wanted to go along with. But I definitely, yeah, but you got to be willing to use it like that as well. And as you put it out, a lot of guys are almost seeming to more willing to go viral than they are to use it to
Yeah, viral don't
probably.
sometimes it pays the bills and sometimes it doesn't. Like that's a very high risk, high reward way of doing things. But I'm just going to stick to the code and my integrity and doing what I feel is right. And I feel I should learn things from the ground up. And eventually, the tribe that will support me will be there. And however long it takes, it takes. You know, I appreciate this more now, 8 years in, as opposed to if I got this 6 months in.
No, exactly. What's the phrase? It's a 20-year overnight sensation. Like on a lot of like the like bands and
Continuous
whatnot.
development success.
Yeah, just no one's ever heard. You just kind of blow up, despite the fact that you've put in the work and
Yeah.
whatnot. And as I said, like this is great. Just to be just to I mean, this is a fan watching in, but it's great kind of seeing someone get kind of start getting their flowers, like even if it took them in your case 8 years to do it, because there's something to be said to be an inaugural champion. Like they can't take that away from you, especially an inaugural champion in kind of like the first satellite territory of another major company, and this time in the form of the NWA. So like you got those flowers going for you, and really, these extra eyes to help ply your, to see what Pretty Boy Smooth can do in the ring, on the microphone, and whatever else is needed.
I will say something that helped me with this is Ryse Wrestling. Ryse Wrestling is probably like the first real promotion to strap me up. Like I won their heavyweight championship, and that was my first time being like a real top guy at a promotion for an extended period of time, and I learned a lot. Chris LaRusso, the booker, put me against a lot of different talents, some that work for TNA right now, and things like that. And I was able to take that title to Vegas and wrestle JTG for it. Um, And then I just learned how to help build a company. You know, when I came over to Rise, we were wrestling in an abandoned movie theater, which was actually pretty cool with the seats just like going down to see the ring or whatever. But we'd only get like 60, 70 fans, you know, and then towards the end of my title reign, like obviously this is a collective situation where we all built it together. It wasn't just me, but we ended up starting to draw 200 and 300 consistently, you know. And now Donovan Dijak is the Rise Grand Champion. You know what I mean? He didn't beat me for it, by the way.
Right.
Just want to put that out there. But it's a company now that other wrestlers are starting to ask me, "Hey, can you help me get in here?" Or like, "Hey, where can I watch this?" And they actually they do something really cool. They have this show called Thursday Night Throwdown. So every Thursday on Ryse Wrestling's YouTube channel at 7 p.m., they'll drop like a match or two from like the most previous show. So it's almost like an episodic kind of vibe. So like this past week, it was that match with me and Carson Drake, and also Donovan Dijak wrestling a Rise homegrown guy, Edric Everhart. So if you get a chance, check that out. He's really good, very underappreciated talent as well. But yeah, I mean, I learned a lot from there. So the minute that this came into my possession, I knew what I wanted to do with it. I knew how I wanted to build it, and we're just going to keep the motion going.
And that's great, and I'm really looking forward to see where this goes, and hopefully watching you kind of like continue to climb up the ranks even within the NWA itself. I want to take the time to kind of, I don't know, pivot from wrestling, if you will, 'cause you have some endeavors outside of professional wrestling as well that, I mean, we can tie it back into wrestling because skill sets are similar.
Yeah.
But you've had a handful of movie roles as well. Like, how did that come into play, or at least your first one?
Well, this is a good example of social media. So there was a there's a guy, Lynn Kabinski. I apologize if he hears this and I'm butchering his last name. He's done a number of different indie movies, like he's directed them, and he also is a martial artist. So he had this like action crime slash drama film he was working on, and he was starring Peter Avalon and Diamante in it. And he was looking for wrestlers and martial artists for like some of the fight scenes. So my name got thrown in the hat. Um, when I reached out to him, I kind of showed him my entire resume. So he saw I wasn't just some like random dude that didn't really know what he was doing or whatever. So he kind of extended the role that I would have gotten in that film. So I got to work with extended fight scene with him, with Peter, with Diamante, you know, and things went really well with that. And I also went out my way to help market that film before it was coming out. You know, like I would make my own clips and like just show initiative that I wanted to be there. And because my whole thing was whenever I'm done wrestling completely, I want to pivot into movies and television. Like I feel like that's what I want to do. Like I want to have like the Batista career if I had to compare it to anybody. So he's well aware of that. We've had conversations. He's in the middle of actually getting another film written that's more on the horror side, which I'm actually supposed to be playing a lead role in that. So hopefully that works out. So that one's called Pact of Vengeance. It's on Tubi. It's definitely an adult film, so no, I wouldn't want a kid to see that. Um, and then I just randomly put out a tweet one day about being proud of like my art as like an independent, you know, wrestler, entertainer, whatever have you. And it just so happens randomly, another director saw that post. This dude, Steve Rosinski, out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we ended up talking in the DMs. And he wanted me to audition for a role he had in the film coming up. So I did that, and it went well. That movie was called Shingles. It's actually a parody of Goosebumps. Um, this group called Authors and Dragons have these books called Shingles, where they're like comic books. They're like adult Goosebumps kind of vibes. So I got to play like a leading role with him in one of the tales in the anthology series. That's also on Tubi and Amazon Prime, I believe. And then he had his own series of like horror films that were like comedy horror called Carousel. It's like a serial killer unicorn. And they've actually done really well overseas. It was kind of I find he's very funny, and he casted me for his third installment of that trilogy. So like it just kind of went back to back to back. So I'm always open to doing more movie roles and opportunities with that. Hopefully, I get some more NWA Power tapings on the CW and I catch someone's eye and I can build off that. And yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's awesome, and I did catch a clip of Carousel, and that was hilarious. I'm not gonna lie, just for those of you like one of the first things that pop up, everyone in like IMDb, because all three of these films have IMDb credits to them, but you're you're 7 feet tall and then wearing a hot dog suit, serving hot dogs to our protagonist, if you will, and I
no,
thought,
I also want to say it was really hot outside, and then
oh,
it was ridiculous, but it was so fun.
like I just like I just the visage alone like killed me, and then the whole speech about a whole speech you had about a person who may or may not have been the father, and how he died horribly and how you go through anything to know the name of the killer. Like it was great.
Yeah, I worked on that religiously like every day until we started filming. Like it was months. Like I knew those lines like the back of my like I was filming a wrestling promo and I was accidentally like reciting some of that shit at one point. Like it was like I was so locked in for that.
Well, see, there you go. Like you can start kind of pivoting that if the urban playboy character starts getting worn out. Here you go, horror movie guy, horror movie hot dog guy. Uh, no, no. I mean, it might work, but don't do that. It's
Now I got some mileage with this because it's who I am. I feel like when it comes to wrestling anyway, like characters kind of get old, but personalities don't. You know what I mean? Like when you look at a guy like The Rock or like Stone Cold and whatnot, like they've always been who they are, but obviously different situations brings out different sides of them. So I feel like that's what the urban playboy is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a cool dude that like under the rightest circumstances I can snap or I can move and pivot in different ways. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's a lot of different layers and different ways I can go with stuff. So like I think there's a lot of mileage with what I'm doing.
no, and I agree with that, and especially I mean the concept of it, especially going on with your physical talent. Just I mean, you can take it any way you want because like yeah, you're laid back, but you are also 6'9", 275. Like that just inherently makes you dangerous. Like regardless of like how chill you may be until the bell rings or until you get that one button push to take that someone goes just a touch too far. Um, but also kind of so we're going to sudden pivot off this too,
Yeah.
because again, like you have a whole list of accolades behind you, but philanthropist, giving back to the community is one I also really wanted to touch on because you have your own scholarship, the PB Smooth provides scholarship. Like, how did that come into play?
Yeah. So I have one of my best friends, Samantha Randall, to think about that. If you ever see me do a photo shoot, 9 times out of 10, she's in it. She's one of my good friends out of Erie, Pennsylvania. She's an entrepreneur in her own right. She's like an animal rights activist or something like that. Like she makes vegan desserts. She's opening a vegan restaurant. She just does so many different things. Like a lovely person. So one day we're having this conversation about just like things we want to do like in the future, and I was just telling her like when I make it big in wrestling, like I want to start like a college scholarship fund or something like that. And she's just like, why don't you just do it now? And I was just like so like struck, like I didn't know how to respond to that because I didn't really. We all think, oh, we don't have the money to do this, right? But when you really look into it, there's always something that can help. Because I mean, I don't know if you went to college or not, but like books are expensive. So even if you just had a few $100s to help pay for textbooks or something like that, like it's something to help a struggling college student that is going to have tons of loans when they get out and whatnot. So I spoke to my old academic advisor at Mercyhurst University, who put me in touch with like their financial aid office, and they took me out to dinner. We had some conversations, and pretty much the way mine got set up is like you can donate a certain amount of money and then divvy it up how you want it to be dispersed. So for me, I wanted to have money going to the communication department. And my undergrad is in communication, but at the same time, I feel like we live in a world where journalism is struggling really hard when we're talking about professionalism, effective communication, reporting the right things, even interviewing for jobs, like stuff like that. Like I feel like those things are very important and they're very overlooked. And I also wanted to help diversify my school because, I mean, of course, we had some Black students and foreign students and whatnot, but it could use more diversity because people look at this area to not be that. So, pretty much, the PB Provide Scholarship was created to provide financial assistance for a student that's either recruited to Mercyhurst or already attending there and they're trying to get a degree in the communication department. So, it started out with just tax refund money, and I even was trying to get like wrestling fans to donate. Like I was using my platform in that regard to promote it. And unfortunate circumstances happened with the George Floyd incident. We don't really need to get into it too much, but when that happened, I actually started receiving like tons of donations because of that. So we ended up getting over $6,000 that ended up getting put into the scholarship. Since then, I've obviously donated more money, and other people have helped me keep it going. But we've donated to 4 different students so far, and it's pretty much a one-time award of $1,000 towards whatever they need in terms of like their tuition or books or whatever the case may be. So it's something I'm very proud of. It's something that I want to keep going, and it's something that I feel having a platform now like NWA can help me build it up even more.
No, like everything else, like promote, and that's the best way to get that information out there. So if there's a direct link to it, I'll try to throw that in the descriptor for this here episode, so
Yeah,
people can get through here.
yeah. On my link tree, I have everything set up. Like you can hit the scholarship button; it'll take you to the thing where you can just click here and have it all set up like that.
Oh, but that's great. I mean, on multiple levels, of course, because obviously, as we put it out, college schooling is expensive. Even if if you're going to just a state school, or if you're going to a private school, like I won't touch how much debt I was by the time going at, and they knocked off because I was a poor kid from out in the cornfield. But every little bit helps, and even if it's not a full ride, just heck, even like $500, because I remember back in the day, just like, oh, here's $100 scholarship. Sure, I'll write 150-word essay for it.
Yeah.
If that just pays off my books for, well, that's like one book, but pays
Yeah.
off a book or whatever and then just as important, the whole diversity factor. There's not enough representation, whether it's persons of color, LGBTQ plus, or even gender representation, like through in most fields nowadays. I can't remember what the statistics are, but they are like incredibly low. And
Well,
anything we can do to
uh,
boost it.
I mean, that's just it. I feel like we live in a world where people care too much about virtue signaling on the internet or arguing about politics or just like spewing hate where it's like, all right, if we have a problem, what are you physically actively doing in your community to help it? I feel like if more of us in the world did things to help our local communities, that would solve a lot of problems for us just out the gate.
No, exactly, because really your community is the backbone of whatever the next step up is going to be, whether, your community is going to be the backbone of the county is going to be the backbone of the state's the backbone of our country. And it's a, grassroots, ground up effort to, fix a lot of problems and just to make things better. And I've used that analogy. Actually, I use it more for wrestling than anything else in terms of the the independents in general. The better the independents are, the better wrestling is as a whole. But obviously, as society, like, it's just as important to be able to give back if you have the means to do so. And obviously, not everyone has the means to do so, or even really the opportunity to necessarily do so as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that got serious real quick. But thank you for indulging. But yeah, so we'll start winding down, I guess. But like, I do appreciate you coming on the show. What is next for PB Smooth?
The only real answer I can give you is my next match. This Saturday, I will be in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey at the Mecca. I'll be wrestling with my Killionaires Club member, Jay Bougie. We'll be taking on Fresh Air at ETU, and it will be a blast. And then from there, I'm going to Emerge Wrestling. I have a match there in Indiana. It hasn't been announced yet. But just follow me on social media. Keep on track with everything I'm doing. And I'm just going to keep this shit moving, keep this motion going. And I'm going to make sure I'm not only the inaugural champ, I am the best person to ever hold this belt ever. Like, that is my goal. Like, when you see the NWA Exodus Midwest Championship, I want you to always think my name. So that's the type of time I'm on.
And where can we find you on the internet?
If you Google Pretty Boy Smooth, you will find me. I mean, I'm on Wikipedia. I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm on Facebook, Pretty Boy Smooth. The Pretty Boy is one word on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Pretty Boy Smooth. I have TikTok. I'm not really a fan of TikTok because the algorithms kind of stress me out, so I'm not on there as much. But Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, I'm on mostly, and just follow my schedule. You can see my stuff on YouTube. I try to post whenever I can with updated matches and whatnot. So yeah.
All right. And I'll try to get chunks of those links in the descriptor. I'm not going to lie, sometimes I slack on that, but we'll get it done.
If you just free in there, they can find everything else.
There we go. But thank you for hopping on. It was a pleasure, and just keep killing it.
I got you. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this conversation.
MLW Con-Fusion is a weekly podcast that's written and performed by Rob Kammer and is hosted by Spotify for podcasters. MLW Con-Fusion is part of the Urban Wrestling Network, and you can check them out on the Underground Rundown on YouTube at Urban Wrestling NW. Background music for this section is Ruined My Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is also helpful, as word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the descriptor, but the Twitter and Instagram are at The Nova of Cass, that is TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is at MLW Con-Fusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, and etc., please check out the tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer some more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that is CASSONOVA, whereas for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, The False Prophet, Alexander McCarthy, and Left Tendo, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Con-Fusion Podcast store on Teespring. Links will be below. For business inquiries such as ads and sponsorships, please email at rzkammer, that is KAMERER, at comcast.net. Thank you for listening.